Hello warriors, there exists a type of strength that doesn't yell, doesn't brag, and doesn't crave attention. It is silence strength. In a world that always suggests to you that you must speak louder, to fight more hard, and to prove yourself to everyone, silence seems like defiance. But actually, silence isn't weakness. It is power because it makes your energy remain intact, your focus to stay keen, and your winds to be constructed beyond the din. Consider this. The majority of people lose themselves not because they are not talented, but because they spend their power on vain conflicts, reacting to every insult, justifying every step, justifying every decision. The more they speak, the less they construct. The more they respond, the weaker they grow. Real strength is in restraint, in being smart where to place your voice, and in allowing results to be louder than words. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote once, "The best answer to anger is silence," not simply ignoring others, but not allowing their noise disturb your peace. Because silence isn't empty. Silence is full of control, full of concentration, and full of readiness for success. When you remain silent, you discipline yourself not to yield to distractions. When you remain focused, you channel your energy toward what is genuinely important. And when you bring both together, silence and concentration, success becomes not only possible, but assured. This path is not simple. Individuals will challenge you. They will misinterpret your silence. They will attempt to draw you into arguments, gossip, and minor disagreements. But the Stoic philosophy reminds us that wisdom is knowing what should get your energy and what should get your silence. Today, we're going to cover 9 strong lessons related to Stoicism, lessons that will cause you to practice silence, defend your focus, and gain victory in life. They're not hollow concepts, but principles you can apply every single day. Each one will make you realize how silence isn't just the absence of noise. It is the being of strength. So go ahead and move forward. Open your heart, open your mind, and let these words penetrate deep inside. Because once you learn the art of silence and concentration, you don't merely survive the noise of the world, you rise above it. Just before we move further, I want to remind you don't miss any portion of this video. Each and every lesson progresses on the other, and skipping one could mean skipping the very insight you currently need. Before we proceed, put this in the comments to create the tone. My silence makes me strong. Number 1. Silence protects your energy. Your energy is your most valued asset, and most individuals are bleeding it out without even knowing. Every unneeded argument, every reactive comment, each time you catch yourself having to justify yourself against criticism that doesn't even exist. You are wasting parts of your power on people who aren't even entitled to it. Consider your average day. How much energy are you exerting on going nowhere conversations? How much mental real estate do you waste on convincing individuals who have already decided? How much emotional fuel is wasted on responses to circumstances that will be forgotten by next week? When you opt for silence over unnecessary participation, you are not antisocial. You are intelligent. You are aware that your energy is limited. And each word that you say, each reaction you have, each emotional response that you share is an investment. The question is, are you investing in assets that appreciate, or are you putting your energy into black holes that yield nothing in return? The greatest leaders of all time knew this principle well. They spoke only when their words had the power to bring about change, and remained silent when words would merely deplete their resources. Abraham Lincoln used to say very little at cabinet meetings, listening intently before voicing his opinion. When he did talk, his words carried weight because they emerged out of a state of stored energy and thoughtful thought. But this isn't merely about big moments. It is about the tiny daily decisions that build your stores of energy or drain them. When a person tries to pull you into their drama, silence is your protection. When social media attempts to suck you into outrage cycles, silence is your haven. When your ego will try to assert a point that you don't have to prove, silence is your salvation. What occurs when you begin to protect your energy by being strategic with your silence? Your thinking becomes more refined because it is not filled with reactive static. Your feelings stabilize because they're not being continually triggered by external turbulence. Your ability to decide makes you a better decision maker because you are coming from a state of fullness instead of depletion. Ancient Stoics referred to this reserve clause mentality, always reserving something, never entirely exhausting your resources on one singular commitment. It is like a grand chess player who never exposes all of their pieces simultaneously. always reserving strategic moves for when they really count. But protecting your energy isn't merely about what you refrain from doing. It is about what you opt to do instead. When you are not expending energy on pointless skirmishes, you've got more to put into worthwhile development. When you are not spread out over a dozen different arguments, you can concentrate deeply into the work and relationships which actually propel your life ahead. This is where real change occurs. Individuals begin to notice that you are different. They can't quite place it. But there is something about being here that is more tangible, more concrete, more forceful. You are no longer reactive. You are responsive. You are no longer defensive. You are self-assured. You are no longer attempting to demonstrate anything. You just are. The energy you used to expend battling with other people's thoughts, you now put into managing your own reactions. The emotional fuel you used to burn on fleeting annoyances, you now direct into lasting advancements. The mental bandwidth you once dissipated across empty distractions, you now focus into laser-like attention on what really counts. And this is the glorious paradox. The less you speak, the more people will listen when you do talk. The less you respond, the more your responses will count when you do reply. The less energy you expend on trifles, the more energy you have for important things. Your silence becomes a force field that safeguards your most precious commodity. Not your time, not your money, but your life energy itself. And when you defend that energy ruthlessly, when you spend it wisely, that you only spend it on what is in alignment with your deepest purposes and highest values, success becomes not only possible, but inevitable, because ultimately, the person with most energy going in the right direction wins. Not the one who yappers the most, argues the best, or responds the quickest. The person who has maintained their strength for when it truly matters. Type this below if you are ready to defend your strength. My silence guards my energy. Number 2. Concentration keeps you away from distractions. Here is a hard truth no one wants to hear. You are failing not because you are not talented enough, smart enough, or lucky enough. You are failing because you can't focus for longer than 5 minutes without getting sidetracked by something irrelevant. And in a world built to rob your mind, that is why 99% of individuals will never achieve their potential. But then comes the intrigue. The same technology that is killing most people's focus can really make you unstoppable if you know how to harness it properly. As everyone else is buried under notifications, updates, and digital noise, you can be the one who cuts through all that trash like a hot knife through butter. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." He wasn't referring to living longer. He was referring to living deeper, about concentrating so intensely on what counts 5 minutes that becomes 2 hours. That is not relaxing, that is self-sabotaging. Those news headlines you read and get upset about things you cannot influence, that is not being current, that is polluting your mind. Those discussions you engage in that run you down and get you nowhere. That is not being social, that is being dispersed. That you accomplish more in one concentrated hour than the average person does in a whole distracted day. Consider this for a moment. What if you could only glance at your phone 3 times a day? What if you could only speak with a single conversation happening at a time without worrying about 5 other things at the same time? What if you could concentrate on one project for 2 straight hours, without your brain leaping to what you are having for lunch? You'd be a different person. You'd be dangerous. Your brain actually changes physically, depending on what you focus on. Each time you allow yourself to get distracted, you are actually rewiring your brain to be more distractible. But each time you opt for focus instead of distraction, you are creating mental muscle that snowballs over time. Here is what focus actually is. It is not concentration. It is the power to say no to everything but the one thing that will advance your life at this moment. It is having so much clarity around your priorities that distractions no longer tempt you. They're boring. They're irrelevant. I am going to share something with you that you might find painful to hear, but you must listen. That scroll through social media you do for just. Actual focus is merciless. It is eliminating everything that doesn't contribute to your Dragal life vision. It is guarding your attention as if it were your most precious asset. Because it is Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors of all time, has a calendar that is nearly blank. Not because he lacks opportunity, but because he knows that to say no to good is how you say yes to great things. But this is the section that will transform everything for you. When you have actual focus, you don't only accomplish more, you become attractive. People are attracted to people who are focused because focus is scarce. When somebody can truly hear you without glancing at their phone, when somebody can get a project done without constantly jumping between tasks, when somebody can engage in a conversation without their brain wandering, that person stands out like a lighthouse in a storm. Right now, while you're watching this video, how many other things is your mind thinking about? That text you need to send, that problem at work, what you're going to do later. If your mind is anywhere except right here, right now, absorbing these words and thinking about how to apply them, you're illustrating my point. Attention isn't something you have or not. It is something you acquire by training. Every time you notice your mind drifting and bring it back to the task at hand, you're doing mental push gen UPS. Every time you decide to complete one thing fully before moving on to another, you're creating focus muscle. Every time you place your phone in another room when you work, you're conditioning yourself to be undistracted. When you achieve genuine focus, everything else becomes simpler. Decision-making becomes quicker because you're not thinking about irrelevant choices. Goal attainment becomes a certainty because you're not using energy on things that don't get you closer to where you want to go. Peace becomes your default state because you're not constantly being drawn in various directions by things that don't really count. Your intent focus is your superhero power in a distracted world. When everybody else is scattered, you're focused. When everybody else is reactive, you're intentional. When everybody else is busy, you're productive. And that is how you distinguish yourself from the pack. Number 3, triumph goes to the patient. Let me ask you something that may hurt a little bit. How many times have you given up on something just as it was going to pay off? How many times have you abandoned a goal because results did not come as quickly as you wished? How many times have you allowed impatience steal wins from you that were virtually in your grasp? Success does not require you to be the fastest, the brightest, or even the best. It is about standing alone. It is about the patience to keep moving when everyone else quits. It is about realizing that true triumph is not a race. It is a marathon in which most people give up at mile 2. The Roman Emperor, Marcus Aurelius, penned something that contains the secret to his unwavering fortitude. Restrict yourself to the present. Not because the present is ever nice, but because it is the only space where you have authority. Impatient individuals exist in the future, always concerned about outcomes. Patient individuals exist in the process, constantly looking at what they can control in this moment. Reflect on the most successful individuals you know. I mean really successful, not merely Instagram popular. They all possess one characteristic that divides them from everybody else. They can put off satisfaction, like it is an ability. While the rest of the world demands everything immediately, they'll plant trees today that won't mature for years. They know something that impatient individuals never do. Compound interest doesn't only work with money. It works with everything. All the skills you acquire compound over time. All the good habits you create compound over time. All the relationships you put effort into compound over time. But here is the catch. You only receive the compound effect if you hang around long enough to bank it. Most individuals drop out at the flat section of the curve just before the exponential increase happens. James Clear, who wrote the book on habit creation for years, learned something interesting. Most individuals overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimates what they can do in a year. They wish to lose censure in censure days, but will not promise to lose lambon per month for shuumi onths. They want to create a business overnight, but will not appear reliably for wurinin days in a row. Patience is not passive waiting. True patience is active persistence. It is appearing each and every day even when you don't feel like it. It is having faith in the process when you can't see the outcome yet. It is believing in future you when current you wants to give up. The old Stoics referred to this amor fati, love of destiny, not merely tolerating what occurs, but embracing the chronology that achievement demands. They recognize that wishing for things to transpire quicker than they naturally do is akin to attempting to coax a blossom into bloom. You'll murder it before you get to have it. This is the harsh truth about patience. It is unfair. There will be some lucky breaks for some people. There will be some advantages you do not have. There will be some people who succeed in months that take you years. But here is what is true too. The people who base their success on patience build something that can't be stolen from them. Lucky breaks can vanish. Advantages disappear. But the character, ability, and knowledge that you build up by slow persistence, that is yours for good. Each day of your life, you are in competition with two groups of people. Those who demand everything immediately, and those who are willing to work to get what they want in the long run. Guess which group numbers more? Guess which group wins more? Mathematics is as simple as that. If you can simply outlast the impatient majority, you are already ahead of 90% of your competition. But patience isn't just about achieving external goals. It is about becoming the type of person who can handle success when it comes. Most people aren't ready for the success they say they want because they haven't developed the patience to sustain it. They want the million-dollar business without the skills to manage it. They want the perfect relationship without the emotional intelligence to hold on to it. They desire the dream life without the character to earn it. Patient individuals don't merely accomplish more, they become more. Each month of sustained effort alters you. Each season of remaining committed when others give up makes you more confident. Each year of prioritizing long-term vision over short-term comfort instills an unshakable conviction of your own capacity to accomplish whatever you set your mind to. Victory doesn't belong to the fast. It doesn't belong to the boisterous. It doesn't belong to the fortunate. Success belongs to the persistent, to those who can hold on, hold out, and continue to show up long after the passion is gone and only discipline is left. The question is not if you can succeed. The question is if you can wait for success to develop on its own timeline rather than insisting on yours. Number 4. Silence makes self-control stronger. Here is something that'll blow your mind. Each time you blurt out without thinking, you are literally weakening yourself. Each time you react rather than respond, you are conditioning yourself to be controlled by outside forces. Each time you release your emotions through your mouth, you are relinquishing the very power you must use to change your life. But let me tell you the other side, and here is where it gets interesting. With each time you think before you talk, you are getting stronger in terms of self-control muscle. With each time you remain silent instead of reacting, you are getting stronger. With each time you remain quiet when your emotions are about to blow their top, you are getting stronger with the type of inner strength that makes legends out of regular folks. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught us something incredible to say about this. First, tell yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. But this is what he actually meant. Before you can manage your actions, you need to manage your words. Before you can manage your words, you need to manage your thoughts. And it all begins with the discipline of strategic silence. Consider the last time somebody actually made you mad. What did you want to do? Likely rip them apart with your words. Yeah? Put them in their place. Make them see how wrong they were. Make them feel as terrible as they made you feel. But what if I told you that the second you opened your mouth to respond, you already lost? What if I told you that the silence you kept in that situation would have been your greatest triumph? Here is what most people don't realize about self-control. It is not about holding yourself back. It is about picking your battles so cleverly that you've already won before the battle begins. When someone attempts to provoke you and you don't bite, you've just showed more strength than any argument ever could. You've established that their feelings can't dictate what you do. Navy SEALs have a mantra: slow is smooth, smooth is fast. They recognize that when under high pressure, the individual who can remain calm and keep their head on straight has every advantage in favor of the person who responds emotionally. The same rule holds true no matter what field of your life you are in. The individual with self-control does not have to prove they are correct. They simply are. They don't have to win all arguments. They win the one that counts, the argument with themselves no less. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you are essential. Rewiring your brain for more self-control. You are building new pathways of the brain that enable you to easily stop, think, and react strategically, rather than emotionally. You are becoming the kind of person who can approach any situation with elegance and strength. Now, here is where this becomes really fascinating. Individuals who are experts at strategic silence not only control their words, they control their entire surroundings. When you don't respond to drama, drama ceases looking for you. When you refuse to engage with negative individuals, they stop being interested in trying to impact you. When you refuse to respond to every criticism, individuals begin to respect your confidence. The world's most successful negotiators understand this secret. Silence is stronger than any argument. When you offer something and then remain silent, the other party is drawn into responding to the vacuum, typically by agreeing with your conditions or concessions. When a person attempts to manipulate you and you choose to counter with silence, they expose their real intentions while you get to keep all of your leverage. But this is the deepest secret about silence and self-control. They're not merely mechanisms for manipulating other people. They're tools for self-mastery. Each desire you resist without acting on it makes you stronger. Each feeling you refuse to express on impulse gives you greater mastery over your internal life. Each word you choose not to say in anger saves you the strength for words that truly have an impact. Your silence isn't nothing. It's fullness. It is being so whole within yourself that you don't have to fill up each moment with words. It is being so sure of your stand that you do not have to constantly defend it. It is being so firm within yourself that outside turmoil cannot disturb your interior calm. The individual who has self-control does not shun confrontation. He confronts it tactically. He doesn't stifle her feelings. He channels them intentionally. He doesn't remain silent because he is is weak. He remains silent because he is strong enough to decide when her voice will have greatest effect. Number 5. Focus makes pain turn into strength. I am going to tell you something that may sound crazy at first, but bear with me because this may change everything. The same experiences that are shattering other people in the present moment, the failures, the setbacks, the disappointment, the pain, those very same experiences can turn into the fuel that makes you unstoppable, but only when you know how to concentrate on the right. This is what differentiates people who get broken by adversity from people who get shaped by it. Concentration, not positive thinking, not making everything okay, not attempting to dodge pain. Concentration. The capacity to locate the lesson, the growth, the opportunity concealed within every challenging experience and zero in on that rather than the pain. Marcus Aurelius, recall this fellow, literally had the weight of the whole Roman Empire on his shoulders, penned something that'll send shivers down your spine. The obstacle to action facilitates action. What blocks the way becomes the way. He wasn't describing some happy-go-lucky philosophy. He was describing a pragmatic tactic for converting challenges into opportunities. Each and every individual who has done something remarkable has this in common. They got good at extracting value from pain. They learned to focus on what they could control instead of what they couldn't. They discovered that the same event that destroys one person can strengthen another. The only difference is where they direct their attention. Right now, you are dealing with something difficult. Maybe it is a relationship that has ended. Perhaps it is a job that you've lost. Perhaps it is a goal that you didn't get. Perhaps it is an illness that you are enduring. Most of us dwell on what we've lost, what has gone wrong, what isn't fair. But what if you dwelled on what you are gaining, what you are learning, what you are becoming? The ancient Stoics used a practice that sounds harsh, but builds unbreakable people. They would intentionally visualize losing all that was important to them, their health, their wealth, their loved ones, not to be pessimistic, but to develop emotional strength. They knew that pain is inevitable, but suffering is not. Suffering results from concentrating on what you cannot control. Strength results from concentrating on what you can. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is information. It is your inner guidance system informing you that something needs to change. Physical hurt instructs you to guard your body. Emotional hurt instructs you to review your expectations, your attachments, your tactics. Mental hurt instructs you to challenge your beliefs, your assumptions, your method. But everyone tends to do the exact opposite with hurt. They attempt to numb it, evade it, or attribute it to someone else.